Human rights. Human rights refer to human dignity, fundamental rights and freedoms, an equality that every individual is inherently entitled to. No one should be discriminated against based on nationality, religion, gender, race, language, ethnicity, or any other status. International human rights instruments. Protect the rights of everyone within the state's jurisdiction in 7 areas. Civil and political rights. Economic, social and cultural rights. Children's rights. Women's rights and freedom from all forms of discrimination. Rights of persons with disabilities. Elimination of racial discrimination. Prohibition of torture and other cruel, inhuman or degrading treatment or punishment. UNGPS Principles. United Nations Guiding Principles on Business and Human Rights. The UN Guiding Principles on Business and Human Rights, UNGPs, are a globally recognized framework endorsed by the United Nations to prevent adverse human rights impacts arising from business activities. The principles outline the responsibility of businesses to respect human rights by specifying the actions they are expected to take. They also require that effective remedies be provided when business activities cause or contribute to adverse human rights impacts. UNGP's Pillars. Pillar 1. Protecting human rights. Protect refers to corporate organizations having the duty to protect against human rights violations related to business operations. Pillar 2. Respecting human rights. Respect refers to individuals and organizations engaged in business having the responsibility to respect human rights. Pillar 3. Remedying. Remedy refers to correcting, restoring, and compensating when negative impacts or human rights violations occurred due to business operations, whether prevention was in place or not, and effective remedy mechanisms must be available. Risks of human rights impacts. Labor rights. Labor rights violations, such as no employment contract, employment that does not comply with labor law standards, obstruction of labor union formation, women receiving lower wages than men, or unfair discrimination. Workplace safety, such as working continuously for excessively long hours until becoming ill. Discrimination against employees based on race, gender, religion, or age. Rights related to the environment. Business operations that use resources and violate communities' rights to access resources, affecting their traditional livelihoods, such as the use of water pumps causing river basins to dry up, resulting in water shortages and the loss of fishing livelihoods. Improper waste management, such as discharging wastewater into public water sources, causing hardship and illness in surrounding communities. Construction activities that block the natural flow of water, resulting in flooding. Rights of communities and occupational groups. Encroachment on land rights and rights to livelihoods, including land used for traditional livelihoods, ceremonial purposes, and community sites of local communities. Conflicts over cultural issues, such as a hotel business considering the sound of the call to prayer broadcast through local loudspeakers to be a disturbance to guests. Creating safety impacts on communities. Creating environmental impacts on communities. Consumer rights. Discrimination based on gender, race, or religion, such as discriminating against customers or refusing to provide services to people living with HIV. Violation of customers' right to privacy, such as the leakage of personal information. Creating health and safety impacts on customers.
Risks of human rights impacts that may affect labor rights. Risk issue. Workplace practices. Discrimination in employment. Women receiving lower wages than men. Income inequality among employees within the same organization. Paying migrant workers wages below the required standard. Work performance evaluation. Discrimination in career advancement. Men receive more opportunities for promotion. Women are not given opportunities to take on important assignments. Employee development. Discrimination in the provision of work tools and equipment. Discrimination against employees who are members of labor unions. Discrimination against employees of business partners. Health and safety at work. Excessively long consecutive working hours. Unhygienic workplace conditions. Unsafe work procedures. Unsafe machinery and vehicles used in operations. Insufficient personal protective equipment, PPE. Excessive noise from equipment, tools, and machinery. Work involving exposure to infectious agents, hazardous chemicals, sharp objects, toxic rays, and X-rays. Creating pressure in the workplace. Risks of human rights impacts that may affect labor rights. Risk issue. Use of labor that is illegal. Use of illegal labor. Use of child labor. Use of forced labor. Use of labor in violation of immigration laws. Use of undocumented labor. Discrimination. Discrimination based on gender for hiring/collaboration. Gender-based violence against women workers. Bullying, harassment. Use of harsh or abusive language. Violation of privacy. Collection of employees' personal data without their consent. Disclosure of employees' personal data. Restriction of rights and freedom. Restrictions on association, union formation, or collective bargaining. Restrictions on expression of opinions in the workplace. Restrictions on freedom of religion or belief in the workplace. Unlawful workplace practices. Unfair employment practices. Unfair or inadequate wages. Unfair employment contracts. No written employment contract. Incomplete information in the employment contract. Unfair termination of employment. Working hours exceeding the legal limit. Reduction of employee benefits. Unlawful workplace practices, continued. Work that is deemed unlawful. Requiring employees to work on holidays, public holidays, or night shifts. Pressuring employees to work beyond performance targets. Setting unrealistic work targets. Assigning excessive workloads. Increasing workloads without employees' consent. Changing working hours without employees' consent. Discrimination and penalties that are unlawful. Disciplinary actions that are unlawful. Failure to develop employees adequately or appropriately. Insufficient training and lack of proper guidance. Discrimination against customers. Discrimination against customers in pricing. Discrimination against customers in service. Unequal service provision. Refusing to provide warranties to vulnerable customers without defined criteria or clear justification. Using technology that is not accessible to people with special needs. Discrimination against customers in access to products. Creating unfair conditions for access to products and services. Violation of privacy. Personal data breach. Unauthorized disclosure of customers' personal data. Use of customers' personal data for purposes other than those originally intended. Use of customers' personal data without consent. Contacting a customer's reference person without consent. 3. Health and safety in providing products/services. Product safety. Products do not meet safety standards. Service safety. Unsafe products and pharmaceuticals. Safety of places of service. Unlawful treatment of customers. Failure to comply with market conduct. Misleading or deceptive sales practices. Sale of inappropriate products or services. Offering products or services that do not meet standards, such as products that are unsafe or unnecessary. Follow-up methods that violate the law. Harassment, intimidation, or improper debt collection practices. Misleading or unverified advertising/marketing. Making false or exaggerated claims. Misrepresenting product information. Using aggressive marketing tactics. Unsafe marketing activities. Marketing activities that pose risks to customers. Unlawful treatment of customers, continued. Inadequate information disclosure. Failing to provide complete and accurate product and service information. Concealing important terms and conditions. Unfair or unreasonable terms and conditions. Imposing unfair terms that disadvantage customers. Improper complaint handling. Failing to respond to complaints or resolve issues appropriately. Ineffective or biased complaint resolution processes. Lack of effective remedies. Customers are unable to access effective remedies or compensation. Community health and safety. Creating safety incidents from transportation and movement. Impacts on the environment and resources. Pollution of air, soil, and water, dust, odor, noise. Pollution from transportation. Waste generation from business operations. Culture, way of life, and livelihoods. Interference with access to cultural resources. Interference with traditional ways of life. Compliance and good governance. Compliance with laws, regulations, and international standards. Transparent disclosure of information and business decision-making. Personal data and privacy. Respecting the right to privacy. Creating personal data images of individuals or communities with minimal consent. Human Rights Due Diligence, HRDD. This refers to the process of identifying, preventing, and mitigating human rights risks and impacts, both actual and potential, that result directly from the company's business activities, as well as indirectly through its suppliers and contractors. The steps of human rights due diligence, HRDD. 1. Identify and assess. Identify and assess actual or potential adverse human rights impacts. UNGP 18. 2. Integrate and act. Integrate the findings and take action across internal processes and business functions. UNGP 19. 3. Track and assess. Continuously track implementation and assess the effectiveness of responses. UNGP 20. 4. Communicate. Communicate how impacts are addressed and how responses are implemented. UNGP 21. Meaningful involvement of affected stakeholders. 1. Identify and assess actual or potential adverse human rights impacts, UNGP 18. In assessing human rights risks, the following factors should be considered. Our business operations. Effectiveness of risk management. Severity. Scale. Level of impact. Scale. Scope. Who is affected? Scope. Irremediability. Ability to remedy the impact. Irremediability. Likelihood. 1. Identify and assess actual or potential adverse human rights impacts, UNGP 18. Identify stakeholders who may be adversely impacted by the organization's activities. Employees. Right to fair and suitable working conditions. Suppliers/contractors. Right not to be subjected to forced labor or child labor. Right to fair and suitable working conditions. Customers. Right to access accurate and necessary information. Right to privacy and personal data protection. Communities. Right to a good quality of life and a healthy environment. Right to property. 2. Integrate and act on findings. Internally and throughout operations in accordance with applicable standards, UNGP 19. 1. Integrate findings into business processes. 1.1 The organization must assign responsibility to appropriate personnel to track and monitor human rights impacts. 1.2 Incorporate due diligence into decision-making, budgeting, and oversight processes to ensure an effective response to impacts. 2. Take appropriate action based on findings. 2.1 The organization may need to take action by itself, or in collaboration with others, to address impacts, which may include ceasing, preventing, or mitigating impacts directly related to its operations, products, or services through its business relationships. 2.2 The organization's leverage in resolving issues and mitigating negative impacts. 3. Track and monitor the effectiveness of problem solving, UNGP 2.0. 1. Have appropriate qualitative and quantitative indicators. 2. Seek supporting information from various internal and external sources, including affected stakeholders. 4. Communicate performance results, UNGP 2.1. Organizations should be ready to communicate regarding HRDD rate, particularly when concerns are raised, or on behalf of stakeholders affected by the company's business activities or context, leading to a high risk of human rights violations. They should report formally how they address those impacts in all cases. The communication should have the following characteristics. 1. The format and frequency should reflect the company's human rights impacts, and the communication should be accessible to the target audience. 2. Provide sufficient information to assess whether the company has adequately responded to human rights impacts. 3. Communication must not create risks to affected stakeholders, personnel, or legitimate requirements for commercial confidentiality. Service requests. 1. Online service channels. Company website, https://www.eastautocash.com/ir_cor_form. Email, info@eastautocash.com. Line Official, Line ID @eastautocash. Facebook Messenger, eastautocash. Instagram, east_autocash. TikTok @eastautocash. 2. Mail to company head office address. Head office address, 976/1 Rama 9 Hospital Swa, Rim Klong Samson Road, Bang Kapi, Hoi Quang, Bangkok 10310. Giveaway. Exam passing spells. The exam has a total of 10 questions. Passing criteria, 80%. If you do not pass, the Secretariat will notify you that you must retake the exam. Can retake a maximum of 3 times.